My name is Amy. I'm 32. My husband, John, who's a year older than me, was kind at first, but he gradually started acting arrogantly.
You're gonna start living with my parents next week.
Hey, don't make decisions like that without asking me.
Shut up. I'm the president's son, the next CEO. If you've got a problem, then let's get divorced.
Lately, he says this every time I speak up. I became a stay-at-home wife at his request, so in the end, I agreed to live with his parents. Fortunately, my in-laws are kind people, and they really like me. My parents have passed away, so they treated me warmly, almost like real parents. I, too, did my best as a daughter-in-law for them. Sometimes, they even scolded John when he acted bossy.
Enough. A husband and wife are equals. And just because you're the president's son doesn't make you special.
Oh, okay.
Feeling awkward when his parents scolded him, John became a bit more reserved. Before long, I got pregnant. Both John and my in-laws were overjoyed. For a while, John even started being considerate again, helping with the housework. I was happy, feeling like the kind John from before had come back. But that only lasted until we found out the baby's gender. Today, the doctor told me it's a girl. I told John when he got home from work. John looked visibly disappointed and said,
What, a girl?
Hey, what kind of comment is that? It doesn't matter as long as the baby's healthy.
Shut up. As the future CEO, I need an heir. You wouldn't understand that being a woman.
Saying that, John quickly headed upstairs.
Hey, John, I'm so sorry, Amy. Don't worry about the whole heir thing. It's not like we're living in a time where only a boy can take over. Your father and I are just happy if the baby is born healthy, regardless of the gender.
Thank you so much, Mom. I'm sure John will love the baby once it's born. However, gradually, John's kindness and concern towards me started to fade. On the contrary, he began spending more time away from home. There were even days when he wouldn't come back at all. When my in-laws and I asked him about it,
A future CEO has a lot on his plate, you know.
he would dodge the question.
What could possibly keep you so busy? Amy is pregnant, and you should be by her side.
Okay, I'm sorry.
He would apologize when his parents scolded him, but nothing changed at all. Time passed, and as I reached my due date, I wanted my husband, the child's father, by my side. But he claimed to be too busy, even at a time like this. Instead, my mother-in-law arranged the ambulance and stayed by my side throughout. I safely gave birth to a healthy baby girl.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you so much. What an adorable little one she is.
She was crying with joy. Even my supposedly busy father-in-law came to see us. They were both smitten with their first grandchild. However, when I informed John about the birth, all I got was a congrats text, and he never visited even once during my hospital stay.
What is John doing, leaving Amy and his newborn like this?
Amy, I'm truly sorry.
Please, don't worry about it. I'm sure he has something important to attend to. I tried to calm my frustrated father-in-law and apologetic mother-in-law. Even when I was discharged from the hospital, John was nowhere to be seen. Right after I came home, my mother-in-law and I decided to name the baby Maria. I sent John a message about the chosen name. He simply replied, "Sounds fine." John was still rarely home. Even when I asked if he could join me in submitting the birth certificate, he insisted he was too busy. Mom, would you mind coming with me to submit the birth certificate?
Of course, I'd be happy to.
With my mother-in-law driving, we headed to the city hall. After we got out of the car, she offered to carry Maria. Thank you for everything.
It's nothing. A new mom has a lot to handle. So let me help, even if it's in place of my son.
We submitted the birth certificate at the counter and were about to leave when my mother-in-law stopped me.
Amy, could that possibly be?
She pointed, and without a doubt, it was John. What on earth is he doing? John was with an unfamiliar young woman with light brown hair, acquiring maternal health services at the counter. He wrapped his arm around her shoulders and said to the clerk with a smile.
We're expecting our first baby next year.
The woman caressed her belly, smiled at John, and said,
I can't wait for our baby to be born. Daddy?
My mind went blank. Even as I felt the shock, part of me stayed calm, analyzing the situation. His frequent absences, his lack of interest in Maria and me, it all made sense. John had been cheating and fathered another child.
Amy, I can't apologize enough.
It seemed she had come to the same realization, her voice filled with sorrow. My in-laws had been so kind to me. I didn't want to part from them, but I couldn't stay married to John any longer. I'm so sorry, Mom. With that, I went to get a divorce paper, filled out my part right away, and approached John and the woman who were walking hand in hand. I tapped John on the shoulder. He turned around, his face going pale.
Amy, what are you doing here?
I came to submit our daughter's birth certificate. But more importantly, who is this woman? I heard everything. What's this about expecting your first baby next month? You were acquiring maternal health services. Explain yourself.
On number, it's not what it looks like.
What do you mean it's not? The woman, linking her arm with John's, answered confidently.
So you're the wife? Well, you guessed it. I'm pregnant with his baby, and he loves me a lot more than he loves you.
Is that true? I can't believe it. While I was pregnant and giving birth. I glared, but emboldened by the woman's attitude, John became defiant.
Yeah, so what? What's wrong with that? A guy can't be satisfied with an old woman like you. It's a man's instinct to be drawn to younger women. It's also natural for men to spread their seed and have more kids.
You think calling it instinct excuses everything? I can't stay with someone who acts like an animal driven by instincts. Sign the divorce papers.
Oh, fine. This woman is much younger and prettier, and she's pregnant with a boy. I'll happily divorce an old hag who can only have girls. My parents will be thrilled too, I bet.
You're the worst.
Say whatever you want. As the next CEO, I have to make tough, cold-hearted decisions sometimes.
With that, John signed the divorce papers on the spot and tossed them at me.
But what are you gonna do now? Right after giving birth, you've been dumped by the future CEO and left as a single mom, huh?
Next to John, the woman wore a smug expression.
Looks like I'm the new CEO's wife. Poor lady, you've been dumped. Now, we're gonna be happy for the both of us.
You won't be the CEO, John.
Just as they were gloating, my mother-in-law appeared, holding Maria, and her words cut through their arrogance.
Mom, you're here too? Wait, what do you mean I won't be the CEO? That's a lie, right? That can't be true.
It's true. I just told your father everything over Messenger, and he's furious. He's always been a devoted husband and values trust and integrity above all. When he found out that his son cheated on his pregnant wife and had an illegitimate child, he decided you were no longer fit to be the next CEO.
But doing that will ruin the company.
Don't overestimate yourself. There had already been talk about removing you from consideration as the next CEO. Even looking at your work, you were never CEO material.
No way. Why didn't you tell me?
We did talk to you about it. Your father and I warned you that you shouldn't assume you'd automatically become the next CEO. But you didn't listen. You thought it was just a threat, saying, I'm the only son. Who else would they pick? After this, it's clear that the whole idea of hereditary succession is outdated. They're going to choose the next CEO from among the employees. There are plenty more capable than you, and both your father and I are cutting ties with you. You're never stepping foot in our home again. Now go off somewhere with that woman and your unborn child.
Why? Why do I have to suffer just because I'm switching wives? I even gave you a grandchild with her. Amy's baby is a girl, but hers is a boy. He's the heir. So please accept this.
A child's gender? That doesn't matter at all. There's no blame on the unborn baby, but I won't acknowledge them as a grandchild, and I won't pass anything down to them.
Hey, what's that supposed to mean? Are you saying I won't be the CEO's wife?
The woman, shaking John's arm and demanding answers, was silenced by my mother-in-law's cold glare.
I would never accept a vulgar woman like you as my daughter-in-law, even if it killed me.
Faced with her glare, the woman shrank back in fear.
Fine, then I'll just get back together with Amy. That'll fix everything. Amy, I realize now that I made a mistake. I'll leave this woman. Let's start over and raise our daughter together. So please don't file those divorce papers, okay?
With that, John tried to snatch the divorce papers from me. Sorry, but I've already submitted them. Yes, I had done so while my mother-in-law and John were arguing.
No, you just submitted them, right? It's not too late to cancel it. Go withdraw them.
No, why should I cancel them? I don't need you anymore. Not as a husband, and not as a father.
Think it over. Raising a child alone is tough, isn't it? If you take me back, you can still be the CEO's wife.
You'd rather be with that young, pretty woman, wouldn't you?
That was just a moment of weakness. The one I truly love is you, Amy.
My ex-husband clung to me desperately, but it was clear he was only saying it to keep his chance of becoming CEO.
Huh. What the hell are you talking about? You told me so many times that you loved me more than your wife, and now you're groveling to the ex you just dumped? Aren't you ashamed?
Shut up! It's your fault for insisting on coming to get health service information together.
What? You're blaming me now? You're the one who's married, so you're the most at fault.
You're the one who seduced me. You played on a man's instincts. I'm not the one to blame here.
There you go, using instinct as an excuse again. Just like your wife said, you're worse than an animal. And besides, I only went after you because you said you were going to be the next CEO. Now this is all different from what I was promised. And on top of that, you got me pregnant and now want to ditch me and our unborn child? I won't allow it. I won't let you cancel those divorce papers.
As the two argued loudly, people at the city hall began to gather around, curious about the commotion. The two of them seemed beyond caring about what others thought. My mother-in-law and I turned our backs on them and headed to the car. As soon as I got into the car, a wave of exhaustion washed over me. Suddenly, the sadness hit, and tears began to pour. I had been betrayed by my husband. The John I once trusted had turned out to be this kind of person.
I'm so sorry, Amy. I'm truly sorry. It's my fault for raising my son to be like this. Where did I go wrong in raising him? I don't even know how to apologize enough.
It's not your fault, Mom. I'm grateful you stood up to John for me. Just then, Maria started fussing. It seemed her diaper needed changing. As I changed Maria's diaper, I realized this wasn't the time to be crying. The one who needed strength the most right now was my baby girl. I had to be strong as her mother. When we got home, my father-in-law knelt before me, apologizing over and over for his son's behavior. Please, don't do that. If anything, I'm the one who should be sorry. John was supposed to be the company's important heir, but you even removed him from being the next CEO.
There's no need for you to worry about that, Amy. If he had become the CEO, the company would have crumbled for sure. John will have to pay alimony and child support in full. And if you don't mind me saying this, would you consider becoming our adopted daughter? Of course, we'll fully support you in raising Maria.
Are you sure? Can I really accept that?
Absolutely. To tell the truth, regardless of John's behavior, I always wanted a daughter like you, Amy. It's too painful to lose touch with you just because of what our son did.
Thank you. I look forward to being part of the family. My mother-in-law gently hugged me as I trembled with emotion. I officially became their adopted daughter. I also sought alimony from John and the woman, along with child support from John. With my in-laws' help, the payments were made in full. The woman complained.
Why do I have to pay alimony?
In the end, John used his savings to pay both of their shares. As a result, he ended up in debt. Later, John was fired from the company where he'd been working, thanks to his father's connections. It wasn't just because of the affair and the secret child. It turned out the woman wasn't working, and John had been supporting her. And when I wondered where the money was coming from, it was revealed he had been embezzling company funds to support his affair. This discovery enraged my father-in-law, who promptly fired John and demanded repayment of the stolen money.
I thought the company's money belonged to me as the son of the CEO.
John insisted, but such a claim would never hold up. In the end, his debt grew even more, and he lost his job on top of that.
I won't stick around with a husband who's not even a CEO but unemployed.
The woman berated John like that, but she was just as much to blame, having believed John's claim that the company's money was his, even though she knew it was embezzlement and still lived off it. John pleaded,
Work to help me pay off the debt.
but she snapped back.
Why should I have to work? Making a pregnant woman work is the lowest.
Apparently, she was furious. I, too, had to work for Maria's sake. I got a part-time job at my father-in-law's company. While I worked, my mother-in-law took care of Maria. My efforts were recognized, and I was eventually promoted to a full-time position. During this time, I met a kind man who was a former colleague of my ex-husband, and we got remarried. My current husband, Kyle, accepted everything about my situation. He loves Maria like she's his own child. My in-laws were also happy with Kyle's excellent work and gladly accepted him as their son-in-law. Afterward, we all moved into a new two-family home. It's a somewhat complex family setup, but we're all happy together. Time flew by, and 4 years passed since my divorce from John. As I watched Maria play in the yard, a man with a haggard face suddenly approached me.
Hello, little one. Wow, you've grown. You look just like your dad. Daddy's missed you so much.
Maria stood up, looking scared, and ran over to me. The man stumbled into the yard without permission. What? Who are you?
What do you mean, who am I? That's cruel. I'm your ex-husband and that girl's father.
The man's hair was disheveled, and he was thin, but it was unmistakably John.
I've been wanting to see you, Amy. I tried to reach out to my parents, but I couldn't get through. The house had moved, and I searched everywhere, asking acquaintances and relatives until I finally found you. It must have been tough being a single mom all this time, right? But I never forgot about you and Maria, not even for a day. You must have wanted to see your dad too, right? Come here, let me hug you.
Maria hid behind me. It was understandable she had never met him since she was a baby and wouldn't remember a father she had never known. She looked at John with the same wariness as if he were a complete stranger.
Is there something you need with my daughter?
A voice came from behind, and when I turned around, there was my current husband, Kyle.
Daddy?
Maria ran over and hugged him.
Hey, Daddy's right here. Wait, you're...
Oh, it's been a while, John.
John was shocked to see his former colleague, Kyle.
Why are you here?
I suppose I didn't mention it. I married Amy. It was 3 years after your divorce.
What? You went and remarried without telling me? This is a betrayal against me.
You're the one who betrayed me, and you're really going to say that? Whether I remarried after the divorce is none of your business.
Shut up. Don't get cocky.
Cocky, huh? You haven't changed a bit, John. You've always used being the CEO's son as a shield to look down on others. Yet, you never took work seriously, always claiming you'd inherit the company and slacking off. Sometimes, you even took credit for others' efforts.
So what? Now that the heir's gone, the company must be in ruins, right? I heard my dad retired as CEO. Did it go bankrupt?
Not at all. The company's thriving more than ever, thanks to Kyle's skills.
Huh? What do you mean, thanks to him?
Because Kyle is the CEO now.
What? How did you become the CO?
After you got fired, Kyle's competence was recognized. He was quickly promoted. And since he married me, now adopted as my in-laws' daughter, he took over from my father-in-law, who retired due to needing care. And as I was the one helping with his care, I was given a trusted role in the company. We're both working now, living a comfortable life.
No way. So you're the CO's wife now? That's not fair. Why does everything go so well for you?
Oh, aren't you happy? I heard you eventually remarried that woman. Don't you have the wife you love and the son you always wanted? I could tell from John's appearance that he wasn't happy, but I asked anyway. In response, he began to speak, little by little. After everything, I struggled to pay off my massive debts while supporting my new wife and child. At first, I got by with day labor jobs. Physical work, which I wasn't used to, was really tough, but I worked from morning till night. But my current wife, unlike you, doesn't help with any of the housework. Even when I come home exhausted, I have to do the chores myself. She doesn't cook or even prepare a bath for me. All I get is the occasional fast food or store-bought food. Whenever she does cook, if I say it's not good, she snaps. And she's a big spender. No matter how hard I work, my earnings vanish into her shopping sprees and outings. We can't save any money. When I complain, she just says, "Being a stay-at-home wife is hard, you know?" And if I accidentally compare her to you, she flies into a rage. When I asked her to at least take a part-time job, she always said the same thing.
You promised me that once you left your ex-wife, you'd let me live a luxurious life as the CEO's wife. It's not my fault you're stuck in a low-paying jobs. You're gonna keep your promise. If I'd married a real CEO, I could have bragged to my friends. You're just a nobody without your parents.
When she said that, I couldn't argue back, so our marriage grew cold. Even so, the only thing that kept me going was my 3-year-old son. He's my joy, calling me dad and looking up to me. I rarely got to see him awake because I come home so late, but thinking of him made all the hard work and my wife's behavior tolerable. But that all changed when I discovered my wife's affair. The face of her lover looked so much like my son's, who I had always thought didn't resemble me at all. Deep down, I'd suspected it for a while, but I chose to ignore those doubts. I finally reached a breaking point with my suspicions and did a DNA test. It turned out that my son wasn't mine.
As soon as he found out, John confronted the woman.
"You're cheating on me, aren't you?"
What are you talking about? How dare you accuse me, your wife?
"It's not just that. Our son isn't even mine, is he?"
What are you saying? Of course, he's your child.
I wanted to believe it too. So I did the DNA test to clear up my doubts. And it said, there's a 0% chance I'm the father.
What? You went and did a test behind my back? That's so low.
Who's the low one here? Were you seeing another guy back then?
Fine, I'll admit it. Yeah, there was another guy. He's much younger and more handsome than you. But he didn't have a job back then, so I couldn't marry him. I didn't even know whose child I was carrying, so I said it was yours since you were supposed to be the next seal. But honestly, looking back, I should have married him instead.
What the hell? Because of you, I had to divorce Amy. I lost my position as the next CO. What are you going to do about my ruined life, you?
Oh, please. You were the one going on about how it's a man's instinct to spread his seed and have as many kids as possible, right? You don't have the right to complain if another guy acted on that instinct, too.
Stop with the excuses.
Apparently, the two of them argued endlessly until their son woke up and said,
"Mom, Dad, don't fight."
I couldn't even look my son in the eye anymore. And then suddenly we were separated. I found myself longing to see my real daughter. As soon as I saw her, I knew. She looked so much like me, unlike my son. I had been deceived the whole time. I'm going to divorce that woman right away. So please forgive me. I want to be a family with you again. I want to make things right. It's been a long road, but let's live happily together as a true family, me, you, and our daughter.
"No, thank you. We're perfectly happy now. don't think there's a place for you in our lives anymore. Kyle is the best father, treating my daughter like she's his own.
But he's not her real dad, is he? I'm her real dad by blood. It's better for her to live with her real father. Don't you agree, sweetie? Wouldn't you rather be with your real dad?
Maria shook her head and clung tightly to Kyle.
I don't know you, mister. Daddy is my only daddy. I love him.
No way. You've been lied to. That guy's a fake. I'm your real dad.
You're the fake, mister. Fake, go away.
Hearing her call him a fake hit John hard. You've never even held her or seen her face once. Don't act like you're her dad now. Her reaction is only natural. And by the way, do you even know our daughter's name?
Her name?
Yes, her name. I told you when we decided on it, remember? I had noticed that John had been avoiding saying her name this whole time. I had sent him a message when we chose her name, and he replied indifferently. That was the only chance he had to know it. At that time, he was likely too engrossed with his affair to care about the name of his own daughter. Just as I expected, John's eyes began to dart around.
It's Maya, right?
No, it's not. A man who doesn't even know his daughter's name can't call himself her father. And of course, I would never get back with you, not even in a million years. By the way, I'm pregnant with Kyle's child. I said this while gently rubbing my belly. Oh, and it's a boy, just like you always wanted. You called me an old hag who could only have girls, remember? But I don't care about gender, as long as the baby is healthy. And I'm not going to force him to take over any business.
This can't be happening.
Whatever situation you're in now, it has nothing to do with us. Please leave immediately.
Wait, at least help me get in touch with my parents. I'm their real son. If I tell them I'm in trouble, they'll help me, just like they helped you during the divorce. They'll help me get alimony out of my wife. So please, I'm begging you.
I don't think so. Your parents said they don't consider you their son anymore. Just like us, they don't care what happens to you.
Shut up! Just let me talk to them.
Kyle cut in, facing down John's desperation.
If you keep causing trouble, I'll call the police.
Faced with Kyle's firm stance, John staggered away. I heard what happened to John after that from a mutual acquaintance of his and Kyle's. In the end, he divorced that woman, making him a 2-time divorcee. He tried to get alimony, but it turned out that he, too, had been having an affair during their marriage, and the woman had gathered evidence of it out of spite. As a result, their alimony claims canceled each other out. The custody of their son, of course, went to the mother. Yet, John continues to pay child support for a son who isn't biologically his. Since John had recognized his son at the birth, even if the child is later revealed not to be his, he must pay child support. More than anything, John himself didn't have the energy to fight against it.
Even though we're not related by blood, I couldn't just let go of my feelings for my son. I wish it could have been the other way around. My real daughter called me a stranger, but if only she'd been the one who wasn't my real child. My son, who wasn't related to me by blood but called me dad, and my daughter, who is my blood but sees me as a stranger, I've lost both. I've lost my parents, my first wife, my second wife, money, my status, everything. I was supposed to be the next CEO. Why did it turn out like this?
He apparently mumbled this while drinking heavily. I can only think he got what he deserved. As for that woman, she ended up being left by her lover and is now raising her son alone.
Why is she the CEO's wife? That should have been me.
She's reportedly complained like that. I don't care what happens to either of them, but I do feel sorry for their innocent children. I hope they find some happiness, even if it's not my place to say so. I still can't forgive John, but I'm grateful to him for introducing me to my wonderful in-laws and for giving me my precious daughter. How did you like this story? Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.